I took the night security job because it paid better and asked fewer questions. Midnight to 8 a.m. Warehouse security. Easy money, they said. The building was massive, 3 football fields wide, filled with shelves stacked high with boxed inventory. No cameras inside the aisles, just motion sensors and a radio that barely worked. I signed in at 11:58 p.m. Badge 047. The supervisor handed me a clipboard and pointed at a laminated sheet taped to the desk. Do rounds every hour. Log all movement. If you hear footsteps, announce yourself. If someone answers, do not approach alone. That last rule wasn't explained. At 1 a.m., I started my first round. The warehouse smelled like dust and cold metal. My boots echoed louder than they should have. Every aisle looked the same. Numbers stenciled on the floor. A12, A13. Then I heard movement. Not footsteps, something being dragged. My radio crackled. Motion detected. Zone C. Zone C was storage overflow. No employees, no deliveries overnight. I announced myself like the rules said. Security, identify yourself. Silence. Then the dragging sound again. Closer. As I moved towards Zone C, I noticed something in the dust on the floor. Footprints. Bare feet. They didn't lead away. They stopped, right in the middle of the aisle. I radioed the front desk. Control, do you copy? Only static. Then a voice came through, distorted, wrong. Badge 047, my badge number. I turned in a slow circle, flashlight shaking. No one was there. I went back to the office, heart pounding. I opened the logbook to write the incident. Someone had already written it. 1:17 a.m. Guard 047 observed movement in Zone C. 1:22 a.m. Guard 047 responded. The handwriting wasn't mine. I pulled up the camera feeds. Most were dead zones, but one camera flickered on. Zone C, the footage showed me, walking down the aisle, from behind. The timestamp read 2:03 a.m. It was 1:41. I heard footsteps now, clear, deliberate. I shouted again, identify yourself. A voice answered, calm, close. I already did. I felt breath on my neck. I spun around. No one. But something clattered to the floor. A security badge, badge 047. Mine was still clipped to my chest. I locked myself in the office and called the police. When they arrived, they didn't ask many questions. They already knew. They told me the last guard on night shift disappeared 6 months ago. Same badge number. They never reassigned it. My shift officially ended at 8:00 a.m. At 7:59, the radio crackled one last time. End of round logged. I quit that morning. But sometimes when I pass warehouses at night, I swear I see a figure walking the aisles, still working, still logging rounds. I worked the overnight shift at a gas station off Highway 61, the kind surrounded by trees and nothing else. No houses, no restaurants, just asphalt, pumps, and darkness stretching forever. From 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., I was alone. The store lights stayed on all night because if you turned them off, the place disappeared completely. My manager left a sticky note taped behind the register. Lock the doors after midnight. Take payments through the window. Don't let anyone inside. If someone won't leave, call it in immediately. He underlined the last line twice. At 12:37 a.m., a pickup truck pulled in. Old, rusted, no plates. A man stepped out, hood up, hands in pockets. He didn't go to the pump. He stood in front of the door, staring straight at me. I slid the metal window open a few inches. "We're closed inside," I said. "What do you need?" He leaned closer. His face stayed in shadow. "Just need to see if you're alone," he said. I shut the window immediately. He walked back to his truck and tried to start it. Nothing. Again. Nothing. He popped the hood and stood there for a long time, not fixing anything, just standing, watching the reflection of the store in his windshield. At 1:14 a.m., he came back to the door. "I got to use the bathroom," he said. "Can't let anyone in overnight," I replied. He smiled for the first time. "That's okay," he said. "I can wait." Relief hit me when headlights appeared. A sedan pulled in, a couple inside. The man stepped away from the door and waved at them, but instead of going to his truck, he stood between their car and the pumps, talking, laughing. The couple never got out. They left less than a minute later. I called my manager. "Someone's been hanging around for almost an hour," I said quietly. There was a pause. "Is it the guy with the pickup?" he asked. My stomach dropped. "Yes." "Listen carefully," he said. "Do not unlock the door." The man knocked on the glass. Soft, polite. Then he spoke, clearly this time. "Hey," he said. "Daniel." I never told him my name. I backed away from the counter. That's when I saw movement in the reflection of the drink cooler doors. Someone else, standing near the back entrance, inside. The man outside pressed his forehead against the glass. "You should have locked the back door," he said calmly. My radio crackled, "Dispatch, calling in a welfare check." The man stepped back, annoyed. "Guess we'll try another night." Police arrived fast. They searched the store. No one inside. But behind the building, near the dumpsters, they found footprints. 2 sets, leading into the woods. I quit the next morning. A week later, I saw the news. Another gas station, another overnight attendant. Same pickup truck. This time, the doors weren't locked. I took the overnight shift at a distribution warehouse because it paid more and asked fewer questions. Midnight to 6 a.m. No customers, no managers, just me, a few forklifts, and rows of shelves tall enough to block out the lights. They called it the graveyard shift as a joke. It didn't feel like one. Officially, there were 3 of us scheduled that night. By 1 a.m., one guy went home sick. The other never showed up. I radioed the supervisor. "Just keep working," he said. "Security's on the cameras." That was the last human voice I heard for hours. Around 1:40 a.m., I heard something fall. Not crash, slide. Metal scraping slowly across concrete, somewhere deep in the aisles. I froze, listening. Forklifts were parked. Nothing should have been moving. I checked the security monitor at the front desk. Most aisles were visible, except a few. Aisle 47 was one of them. The screen labeled it "Camera Pending Repair." That aisle was exactly where the noise came from. I wasn't supposed to go there alone, but I needed the pallets from that aisle to finish my quota. I grabbed my flashlight and told myself I was being stupid. It was just a warehouse, just boxes. Halfway down aisle 47, my flashlight hit something that made me stop. Footprints, fresh, dust disturbed between the pallets. They weren't forklift tracks, they were shoes. My radio crackled. At first, it sounded like static, then breathing. Slow, close. I whispered, "Hello?" The breathing stopped. Behind me, a forklift engine turned over. I spun around. The forklift lights were on. I hadn't touched it, and it was moving, slowly, straight down the aisle toward me. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached the front office and slammed the door shut. On the security monitor, I saw the forklift parked again. Engines off. A new camera feed flickered on. Aisle 47. Someone was standing there. I zoomed in. The figure was wearing a reflective vest. same color as mine, same company logo, but I was still wearing mine. The morning crew arrived at 6 a.m. I tried to explain everything. Security pulled footage from the night. There was no second worker logged in, no forklift movement, but aisle 47 had new signage by noon. I quit that day. Later, a co-worker told me the truth. Years ago, an overnight worker collapsed in aisle 47. Heart attack. Alone. Found hours later. They never removed his badge from the system. Sometimes it still clocks in